They didn't stop feeling. They got good at not showing it. And it costs them the exact moment something good finally happens and nothing moves. 5 signs, in the next few minutes, that a feeling system never broke. It shut a door on purpose. Sign 4 is the one nobody sees coming. There's an industry standing by with an answer already. Your dopamine is fried. Your attention span is gone. Delete the apps, run a 30-day reset, and the color comes back. It's a clean story, it sells beautifully, and it opens by telling you something inside you is defective. Except, people described this exact flatness in letters written 200 years ago, by candlelight, with nothing to scroll. So no, not your phone, and not laziness either. Something else is happening, and it looks a lot more like protection than damage. Think about the wiring in an old house. Not a broken house, an old one, still standing, still doing its job. You run the space heater and the microwave and the window unit off the same tired circuit, all afternoon, every afternoon. Then one evening the breaker trips and the room goes dark. The power company didn't cut you off. The house cut itself off. That's the entire purpose of a breaker. It fails early, on purpose, so nothing burns. People who feel nothing anymore are usually standing in a room that went dark exactly that way. That's why everything feels boring in a life where nothing is actually wrong, and almost nobody reads it as protection. They read it as a personal failure, and they go looking for brighter bulbs, which, honestly, is the most reasonable wrong move available. Sign 1. They still want things. The things just don't land. A neuroscientist named Kent Berridge spent decades on this, and what he found undoes the thing most of us assume. Wanting and liking are not one system. They're two. Dopamine drives the reaching, the ordering, the planning, the cart you fill at 4 in the morning. Pleasure lives somewhere else entirely. In small clusters your brain has to switch on when something actually registers. Berridge calls them hedonic hotspots. They're tiny. They're easy to quiet, which means the reaching can keep working perfectly while the landing stops happening. That's how a person still refreshes the tracking number, still says yes to the trip, still opens the box, and feels roughly what you feel unloading a dishwasher. They chase the thing, they catch the thing, and there's nothing inside it. You've probably filed that under being spoiled, or ungrateful, or impossible to please. It's none of those. So if the wanting still works, what broke on the other side? Sign 2. They perform the reaction before they have one. Ren is 31. Kansas City, claims adjuster for a regional insurer, the kind of job you explain twice at parties. Last October, her friends threw her a surprise 30th, a year late, which was the joke on the banner. 11 people packed behind Dana's apartment door with the lights off. She opened the door. 11 people yelled. 6 phones went up, and Ren did the face. Hands to the mouth, half step back, the small laugh at the end. It was a good one. She's had a lot of practice. And here's where the usual explanation has it backwards. What happened to Ren didn't come from feeling too little. It came from feeling too much, for too long, in rooms where nobody noticed she was doing it. Grocery store sheet cake, blue gel roses, her name piped in that shaky cursive. Dana had bought mint chip, because Dana always forgets Ren hates mint chip, and Ren ate 2 bowls of it anyway. Somebody's kid fell asleep under the coffee table around 9. What she actually said, standing in that doorway, was, "This is so much. This is so much," 3 times, while everyone waited for the sentence to finish. Here's the part that makes it strange. Ren is the one who keeps the shared calendar with everybody's birthdays on it, color-coded. She has booked the rooms and ordered the cakes for that entire group for 6 years running. 5 years ago, a party like this would have wrecked her, in the good way. She stood in that hallway with all that noise pointed at her and felt roughly what you feel when the elevator finally arrives. Hold on to Ren. We come back for her. The performing is the part everyone misses. When the response stops arriving on its own, people don't stop responding. They start producing it manually, from memory, about half a second late. Nobody at that party had the faintest idea. That's the real tell, not the flatness, the competence. And you've done a version of this. The card that should have wrecked you, the news you'd waited 2 years for. You've watched your own face move before anything underneath it did, and then you covered, smoothly, because the alternative was explaining something you can't explain. Nobody performs a feeling they've never had, so the machinery is intact. It's running late. So who teaches somebody to do that? If this is landing, subscribe. This channel is for people who feel things too deeply to say so out loud. And stay with me, because the next sign is the one that gets misread for years, usually by the people who love them most. Sign 3. The boredom shows up in exactly the places that are supposed to matter. Aaron Westgate, who studies boredom at the University of Florida, argues it was never a stimulation problem to begin with. Boredom arrives in one of two situations: when your attention can't get a grip on what you're doing, or when what you're doing has stopped meaning anything to you. Same feeling, two different causes. And we treat every case like the first one, so people reach for more input. Louder, faster, 2 screens at once. And the second cause sits there, untouched. Which is why everything feels boring in such a specific pattern. Always the same handful of places. The job they wanted for years, the relationship that is genuinely fine, Sunday afternoons, their own kitchen at 7 in the evening. Boredom isn't begging for more. It's pointing at something. Some of you aren't burned out. You're bored in the exact places you swore you'd never be bored, and burnout is just the kinder word for it. If that one stung, it stung because it's close. So if it's pointing. What happens to a life where nothing gets let in? Sign 4. Time starts collapsing. This is the one nobody warns you about. Your memory doesn't store days. It stores the moments that forced it to build something new. The first week at a job, the first night in an apartment where you didn't know yet which floorboard creaked, the drive home from the hospital. Those get written down in long form. A Tuesday that matched every other Tuesday gets compressed into almost nothing. Now run that forward a few years. When nothing lands, almost nothing gets written. And a year that never got written doesn't feel like a year when you look back at it. It feels like a long weekend. That's the real bill. Not that things stopped being fun, that time started going missing. People say it at parties, lightly. Where did the last 2 years go? Then something in the face changes. So what makes a week refuse to compress? Sign 5. They reach for the loudest thing instead of the newest one. There's a difference between being entertained and being curious. Entertainment fills the time. Curiosity spends it on a question you don't already have the answer to. One of those asks nothing of you and gives back exactly that much. The people still lit up in their 70s don't have more passion than the rest of us. Their interests are all over the map, and honestly, half of them are boring. What they share is stranger. They keep signing up to be bad at something new, in public, on purpose. Being bad at something is uncertainty you volunteered for. And uncertainty is the one input a tired system still registers. So here's the reframe. A feeling system that goes quiet after years of running at full load is not a defect. It's a breaker doing what breakers do. It went first, so something else wouldn't have to. Which means the answer was never more voltage. More trips, louder music, a bigger purchase, a stronger drink. That's brighter bulbs on a circuit that's already tripped. That's why everything feels boring, even after the vacation, even after the promotion, even after the thing you were sure would fix it. You don't get the room back by pushing more through the line. You get it back by taking things off, then turning one thing on at a time and watching what lights up. Numbness isn't the opposite of feeling. It's the cost of it. You're allowed to be someone who feels things late and slowly and in private. 3 things. The third one is the one that actually moves. 1. This week, catch one thing you wanted and didn't like. Name it out loud, in those words. Wanting and liking come apart quietly, and you can't work with a split you've never said. 2. Do something you're genuinely bad at. Bad at this Saturday, somewhere another human can see you, with no plan to be decent at it by fall. That's uncertainty you chose, and it's the only kind your system hasn't already filed. 3. Say the flat sentence to one person. I didn't feel anything at my own birthday party. Whatever your version of it is. The performing is what keeps the room dark. It tells everyone the power's still on, so they stop checking. And Ren. She still keeps the calendar, still color codes it, still books the rooms. None of that changed, and probably won't. But last spring she ran Dana's 40th, and for the 11 seconds the candles were lit and everybody was singing badly, something moved in her chest that she couldn't name and didn't mention to anyone. She's still not sure what it was. She's decided that's fine. That's the short answer to why everything feels boring. Nothing has been allowed to be uncertain in a very long time. So when was the last time you were bored? Actually bored. No phone, no podcast, nothing running underneath it. Tell me in the comments, because most people genuinely can't remember, and that's the part that should bother all of us. The room going dark was never the failure. It's what a house does before it burns. Now go take something off the line.